What is a nutrient? How should we think about what it is and what role it plays in our body?
Well, we're talking really here about micronutrients, because macronutrients are fat, carbohydrate, and protein, and water. There are 4 macronutrients. And I'm saying right now that Americans eat too much fat, they eat too much protein, and eat too much carbohydrates. Those are the 3 sources of calories. Americans overeat calories, which shortens their lifespan. And the reason they overeat calories because they're not getting enough micronutrients and fiber. Because when you don't get enough micronutrients and fiber, and by the way, Americans are ubiquitously nutritionally deficient because they're eating processed foods and animal products, which don't contain, their diet is 60% processed foods and 35% animal products, which neither one contains phytochemicals and antioxidants. And it's the diversity of phytochemicals and actually the diversity of fibers that gives us the best bacteria in the gut to prevent disease. But getting back to your question here is that, yes, the micronutrients are vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals and phytonutrients found in plants, right? And they're vitamins, minerals, phytonutrients, phytochemicals, and antioxidants that do not contain calories. And because we're not eating enough of those rich phytochemical and antioxidants-rich plants, Americans are ubiquitously nutritional deficient. They're not deficient in macronutrients, they're deficient in micronutrients. And I'm saying getting more micronutrient bang per caloric buck, getting more micronutrient bang per macronutrient buck is the secret to a longer lifespan.
Right.
So we have to eat more foods with a high micronutrient density and diversity. And when you do that, your cells are less toxic, less inflammation, and you also become instinctually satisfied with the right amount of calories. And you feel comfortable eating whatever your caloric requirement may be. But when you, and I'm saying here that a piece of chicken is like a bagel. Now, why am I saying a piece of chicken is like a bagel? Because they're both sources of macronutrients without having a significant micronutrient load. The bagel is rich in carbohydrate, but where's all the phytochemicals and antioxidants that would have come along if you had a mango or a strawberry instead of the bagel? The chicken is rich in protein, but where's all the phytochemicals and fibers and antioxidants and protective isothiocinates? Have you got your protein from sesame seeds or pumpkin seeds or something, right? So we're talking here that the idea that the American diet is high in animal products and processed foods makes people dangerously deficient, which sparks an epidemic of cancer across the modern world, because we are a vegetable-dependent animal, like the other primates are. And I always tell people, if you don't like green vegetables, you better live close to a hospital, because you can't expect to have a normal life without a high green vegetable intake.
So I like that perspective, because I feel like we do focus so much on the macronutrient side, right? Like we're always telling people, get more protein, right? Healthy fats, healthy carbohydrates, right? But I think this focus on micronutrients is going a level deeper, right? And really saying, no, it matters what the sources of these are. So how do you think about then you say, folks eat too much protein, too many carbs, and too much fat. How do you think then about macronutrient balance? Or do you not even sort of focus on that and say, let's just talk about getting the right foods in? Do you counsel people to get 30% protein, 40% fat, et cetera?
No way. That's just ridiculous.
Okay.
And you don't have to focus on that. So let's, in other words, people are focused on the macronutrients and missing the whole point. They shouldn't, in other words, green vegetables are critically important and they're rich in protein. Beans are rich in inositol pentachous phosphate. They're slowly digestible carbohydrates. They're rich in protein. They have a lot of resistant starch. These foods already have the right protein, fat, and carbohydrate ratio, right? Even whole grains have plenty of protein. The nuts and seeds are a source of good or healthy fat. Like people know that flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, walnuts are rich in short-chain omega-3 fatty acids that stabilize the heart against cardiac arrhythmias. But they're also full of lignans that are digested by bacteria in the gut that have anti-estrogenic effects to prevent breast and prostate cancer. So the same foods that protect the heart against arrhythmia, and when you're eating foods that have natural foods, you're getting the right ratio of fat, carbohydrate, and protein, and the ratio could be somewhat different. Or it's not some white carbohydrate and fat balance. It's the type of fat people are eating are addictive and make people get overweight and overeat calories. When you eat enough healthy food and your nutrient levels are high, then you instinctually desire the right amount of calories, and we don't overdo the fat, the carbohydrate, or the protein. Keep in mind, I'm saying that people are in America eating too much fat, too much carbohydrate, and too much protein. So that means they're eating too many calories. And how are overweight people thinking they're going to lose weight successfully without focusing on micronutrients and trying to adjust some right idea of this macronutrient basis? And that's where let's say these people are coming to a keto diet or an Atkins diet or a carnivore diet. The reason they're advocating that is because they're radically restricting carbohydrate. That puts the body into an emergency state where the brain can accept ketones as an alternative fuel to break down fat to make ketones for the brain, which helps people able to eat their cake and eat and get some, not be overweight, or eat their meat and not be overweight. But that causes the chronic acidosis and the lack of protective nutrients that radically shortens human lifespan. So we're saying that all the long-term studies on people following those type of diets show they have the most early life mortality, which means the most deaths before the age of 70. So you can't trick Mother Nature by some gimmick to lose weight. You can smoke cigarettes to lose weight too, or snort cocaine and smoke cigarettes to lose weight. But the truth is we're a primate, and the right way to do it is to eat right. Right? And when you do eat right, you're not deficient in protein. But if you're, like for example, there are 5 plant foods. Let's say you're a complete vegan, not eating any animal products at all. The 5 plant foods are fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts and seeds, and intact whole grains. The only one marginally low in protein is fruit. So the only way you can get your diet excessively low in protein is if you ate too much fruit and not enough vegetables, beans, and nuts, right? Or you pour oil on your food. Get a third of do what most Americans do. They get 500 calories of oil a day poured over their food. They just took 15 grams of protein out of their diet, because if they got that same calorie content from sunflower seeds and sesame seeds and whatever, hemp seeds, if they were eating nuts and seeds in place of that oil, they would have got the fat with protein, with fiber, with anti-cancer nutrients in. Plus you don't absorb the full phytochemicals from the salad you're eating if there's not some fat with the meal. But when the fat from the nuts and seeds come with the meal, the fat is absorbed slowly into the bloodstream at 1 or 2 calories a minute, which the body can then preferentially burn for energy and keep you even controlled your whole afternoon, as opposed to putting oil on the food, which absorbed almost instantaneously, about 40 calories a minute, which creates a spike of calories in the blood that drives overeating behavior. So now this person says, oh, I had a bowl of vegetable bean soup, and I had a big salad with nuts on it, and I had 2 pieces of fruit for dessert, and I'm still feeling empty. I got to have a pizza. I got to have some a burger. I got to have some cheesecake. I got to have an ice cream cone. They'll never be satisfied with normal food because it doesn't spike their brain with enough caloric concentration that the oil would have done. But I'm saying if you're eating a normal amount of calories, and by the way, Americans eat about 3,200 calories a day on the average, where most primitive societies eat about 1,600. So I always say, half of what we eat feeds our needs, and the other half meets the needs of our doctors, And fat on the body makes chronic inflammation and makes you insulin resistant, and activates aromatase to produce extra estrogen, and has a whole series of cascading effects that increase risk of heart disease, cancer, and accelerates aging of the body, right? So we're saying here that unless you achieve fiber and micronutrient adequacy, you are going to desire excess calories.